boys and girls. Welcome to Richmond County Literacy Network's Story Time. My name is Sharon, and my dog Kipper, who's usually with me, had to stay home today. There are too many activities that I have to do, and he would want more attention. Hopefully he will join us again soon. I hope you will enjoy today's story, and maybe you would like to invite someone to watch it with you. Okay, are you comfy? All right, let's roll.
Well, hello there. My name is Adam, and I'm one of the hosts here at Telile. I'm here to share one of my favorite stories with you, and I've brought a special guest to help me share that story. His name is Eeyore. Hi there, Eeyore. Hello. Eeyore, why do you have an Easter egg with you? I went to the store to look for Valentine candy, and this is all they had left. Oh my, things move very fast, don't they, Eeyore? Too fast for me. Well, don't you worry, old friend. We're going to take some time to read a story, and the story is all about you. Really? Yes, this is a story from a wonderful book called Winnie the Pooh, and it was written by a man named A. Milne nearly 100 years ago. And it's all about how Winnie the Pooh and his friends have all kinds of fun in the 100-Acre Wood. There are lots of stories in this book, and this story is all about the time that Eeyore lost his tail. That was a very sad time. Yes, it was. But it has a happy ending, as you remember, because you've got your tail here, don't you? Oh, yes, I do. Good. So why don't we read the story together about how Eeyore lost his tail and Pooh found it for him. All right, here we go. The old gray donkey, Eeyore, stood by himself in a thistly corner of the forest, his front feet well apart, his head on one side, and he thought about things. Sometimes he thought sadly to himself, "Why?" And sometimes he thought, "Wherefore?" And sometimes he thought, "Inasmuch as which?" And sometimes he didn't quite know what he was talking about. So when Winnie the Pooh came stumping along, Eeyore was very glad to stop thinking for a little while in order to say, "How do you do?" in a gloomy manner to him. "And how are you?" said Winnie the Pooh. Eeyore shook his head from side to side. "Not very how," he said. "I don't seem to have felt at all how for a long time." "Dear, dear," said Pooh. "I'm sorry about that. Let's have a look at you." So Eeyore stood there, gazing sadly at the ground, and Winnie the Pooh walked all around him once. "Why, what's happened to your tail?" he said in surprise. "What has happened to it?" said Eeyore. "It isn't there." "Are you sure?" "Well, either a tail is there or it isn't there. You can't make a mistake about it, and yours isn't there." "Then what is?" "Nothing." "Let's have a look," said Eeyore. And he turned slowly round to the place where his tail had been a little while ago, and then, finding that he couldn't catch it up, he turned around the other way until he came back to where he was at first. And then he put his head down and looked between his front legs. And at last he said, with a long, sad sigh, "I believe you're right." "Of course I'm right," said Pooh. "That accounts for a great deal," said Eeyore gloomily. "It explains everything. No wonder." And I'll show you very quickly that Edward Shepherd drew these pictures of Eeyore looking for his tail. but he couldn't find it. "You must have left it somewhere," said Winnie the Pooh. "Somebody must have taken it," said Eeyore. "How like them," he added after a long silence. Pooh felt that he ought to say something helpful about it, but he didn't know quite what. So he decided to do something helpful instead. "Eeyore," he said solemnly, "I, Winnie the Pooh, will find your tail for you." "Thank you, Pooh," answered Eeyore. "You're a real friend," said he. "Not like some," he said. So Winnie the Pooh went off to find Eeyore's tail. It was a fine spring morning in the forest as he started out. Little soft clouds played happily in the blue sky, skipping from time to time in front of the sun as if they had come to put it out, and then sliding away suddenly so that the next might have his turn. Through them and between them the sun shone bravely, and a copse which had worn its furs down all the year round seemed old and dowdy now beside the new green lace which the beeches had put on so prettily. Through copse and spinney marched Bear, down open slopes of gorse and heather, over rocky beds of streams, up steep banks of sandstone into the heather again, and so at last, tired and hungry, to the 100-acre wood. For it was in the 100-acre wood that Owl lived. "And if anyone knows anything about anything," the Bear said to himself, "it's Owl who knows something about something," he said, "or my name's not Winnie the Pooh. Which it is," he added. "So there you are." Owl lived at the Chestnuts, an old world residence of great charm, which was grander than anybody else's, or it seemed so to Bear, because it had both a knocker and a bell pull. Underneath the knocker there was a notice which said, "Please ring if an answer is required." And underneath the bell pull there was a notice which said, "Please knock if an answer is not required." These notices had been written by Christopher Robin, who was the only one in the forest who could spell. For Owl, wise though he was in many ways, able to read and write and spell his own name WOL, yet somehow went all to pieces over delicate words like measles and buttered toast. Winnie the Pooh read the first two notices very carefully, first from left to right, and afterwards, in case, just to make some quite sure, from right to left. Then he knocked and pulled the knocker, and he pulled and knocked the bell rope. And he called out in a very loud voice, "Owl, I require an answer. It's Bear speaking." And the door opened, and Owl looked out. "Hello, Pooh," he said. "How's things?" "Terrible and sad," said Pooh, "because Eeyore, who is a friend of mine, has lost his tail, and he's moping about it. So could you very kindly tell me how to find it for him?" "Well," said Owl, "the customary procedure in such cases is as follows." "What does crustamony proceed cake mean?" said Pooh. "For I am a bear of very little brain, and long words bother me." "It means the thing to do." "As long as it means that, I don't mind," said Pooh humbly. "The thing to do is as follows. First, issue a reward. Then, just a moment," said Pooh, holding up his paw. "What do we do to this? What you were saying. You sneezed just as you were going to tell me." "I didn't sneeze." "Yes, you did, Owl." "Excuse me, Pooh, I didn't. You can't sneeze without knowing it." "Well, you can't know it without something having been sneezed." "What I said was, first issue a reward." "You're doing it again," said Pooh sadly. "A reward," said Owl very loudly. "We write a notice to say that we will give a large something to anyone who finds Eeyore's tail." I see," said Pooh, nodding his head. "Talking about large somethings," he went on dreamily, I generally have a small something about now, about this time in the morning." And he looked wistfully at the cupboard in the corner of Owl's parlor. "Just a mouthful of condensed milk or what not, with perhaps a lick of honey." "Well, then," said Owl, "we write out this notice, and we put it up all over the forest." "A lick of honey," murmured Bear to himself, or not, as the case may be." And he gave a deep sigh, and tried very hard to listen to what Owl was saying. But Owl went on and on, using longer and longer words, until at last he came back to where he had started. And he explained that the person to write out this notice was Christopher Robin. "It was he who wrote the notes on my front door for me. Did you see them, Pooh?" For some time now, Pooh had been saying yes and no in turn, with his eyes shut to all that Owl was saying. And having said "yes, yes" last time, he said "no, not at all" now, without really knowing what Owl was talking about. "Don't you see them?" said Owl, a little surprised. "Come and look at them now." So they went outside, and Pooh looked at the knocker and the notice below it. And he looked at the bell rope and the notice below it. And the more he looked at the bell rope, the more he felt that he had seen something like it somewhere else some time before. "Handsome bell rope, isn't it?" said Owl. Pooh nodded. "It reminds me of something," he said, "but I can't think what. Where did you get it?" "I just came across it in the forest. It was hanging over a bush, and I thought at first somebody lived there, so I rang it, and nothing happened. And then I rang it again very loudly, and it came off in my hand, and as nobody seemed to want it, I took it home, and—" "Owl," said Pooh solemnly, "you made a mistake. Somebody did want it." "Who?" "Eeyore, my dear friend Eeyore. He was fond of it." "Fond of it?" "Attached to it," said Winnie the Pooh sadly. So with these words he unhooked it and carried it back to Eeyore, and when Christopher Robin had nailed it on in its right place again, Eeyore frisked about the forest, waving his tail so happily that Winnie the Pooh came over all funny and had to hurry home for a little snack or something to sustain him. And wiping his mouth half an hour afterwards, he sang to himself proudly, "Who found the tail? I," said Pooh, "at 1:45, only it was 11:15, really. I found the tail." And here are some pictures of Eeyore very happily bouncing around with his tail. And I'll flip the page over so you can see. There is a picture of Winnie the Pooh and Owl talking at Owl's house about the bell rope that turned out to be Eeyore's tail. And there you are. That is how Eeyore lost his tail and Pooh found it. Did you like that story, Eeyore? "Oh, yes, especially the part where my tail came back." "I'm sure you did. Thank you for joining me for the story, Eeyore." "You're very welcome. And thank you all for joining us." Yes, thank you, boys and girls. We hope that you'll enjoy another story right here on Telile sometime soon, or that you'll pick up a nice book and read your own stories and open up a world of imagination that goes even far beyond what Eeyore and I could figure out. Bye-bye for now, everybody. Bye-bye.
Hi, boys and girls. It's Sharon again. I have another craft to do today, and it's again a butterfly, but this one's a little different, not as messy, and much smaller. For this one, you will need, this is a sample of what it will look like when it's done. You will need cupcake liners. I have 2 types that I brought. A clothespin, something, either markers to either color the clothespin, or you can cover it like I did with pipe cleaners. So I have one already done with pipe cleaners. So this one I'm just going to color it with marker. Blue is my favorite color, so I'm going to choose blue. All right, so I'm going to color it. Oh, this blue doesn't look very blue. Looks more green on the wood. That's okay. Green's a nice color. Okay, so that's done. Then you take your cupcakes liners, all right? You need 2. Flatten them out a little bit and fold in half and crease, and then fold again in half. Make sure you get a nice little point there and press it. Okay, then your second one, fold in half, then fold again, increase it, and then take your glue, put a little bit of glue on the tip, the pointy tip, the triangular part, this part, right? Okay. And stick one on top of the other. Okay? So you have your wings. Then you take your clothespin, and for the antennae, you can actually, it's very easy, you can put the clothespin on the center as far as it will go up, and then take a piece of pipe cleaner and make your antennae again, and then just open the top of the clothespin a bit and pinch it inside. Now, on mine, I didn't have Google eyes small enough. I couldn't find the small little ones, so I ended up just giving him one eye. Whoops, he fell out. Okay, we'll do this again. There. So I just picked one little yellow Google eye. I have 2 small ones there, but they're still too big to fit on the tip of the clothespin. So I'm just going to put one. And there's another little butterfly. Okay, I hope you can try that one at home and have some fun making all kinds of different ones with different kinds of cupcake liners. Okay, so until the next time, bye for now.
Bonjour, je m'appelle Madame Gina et je travaille pour la garderie des Petites Étoiles. Aujourd'hui, je vais lire une histoire qui s'appelle Bed debout par Robert Munch. La maman de Juliane a acheté à sa fille de beaux vêtements tout neufs. Juliane enfile une nouvelle chemise et la boutonne. Elle enfile un pantalon nu et le boutonne. Puis, elle sort et va s'asseoir au pied du pommier. Malheur, bien haut dans le pommier, se cache une flaque de boue. La flaque aperçoit Juliane et se jette en plein sur sa tête. Juliane est couverte de boue de la tête aux pieds. Elle en a jusque dans les oreilles. Juliane court vite à la maison en criant « Maman, maman, une flaque de boue s'est jetée sur moi !» Sa maman l'attrape, la déshabille et l'installe dans la baignoire. Elle frotte Juliane jusqu'à ce qu'elle soit toute rouge. Elle lave les oreilles, elle lave les yeux, Elle lave même la bouche. Juliane enfile une nouvelle chemise et la boutonne. Elle enfile un pantalon neuf et le boutonne. Puis, elle jette un coup d'œil dans la cour. Puis, de flaques de boue en vue. Elle sort et s'assit dans son carré de sable. Le carré de sable est tout près de la maison. La haute, sur le toit, se cache la flaque de boue. Elle aperçoit Juliane aussi plus bas de se jette en pleine sur sa tête. Juliane est couverte de boue de la tête aux pieds. Elle en a jusque dans le nez. Juliane court vite dans la maison en criant « Maman, maman, une flaque de boue s'est jetée sur moi ». Sa maman l'attrape, elle déshabille et installe dans la baignoire. Elle frotte Juliane jusqu'à ce qu'elle soit toute rouge. Elle lui lave les oreilles, elle lui lave les yeux, elle lui lave la bouche, elle lui lave même le nez. Juliane enfile une nouvelle chemise et le boutonne. Elle enfile un pantalon nu et le boutonne. Puis, il lui vient une idée. Elle va fouiller dans le placard et choisit un grand imperméable jaune. Elle l'enfile et sort jouer dehors. Pas de flaque de boue en vue. Alors elle crie très fort « Hey, flaque de boue !» Rien ne se passe. Alors elle crie encore plus fort « Hey, flaque de boue !» En plein soleil dans son imperméable, Juliane est très chaud. Elle retire le capuchon. Rien ne se passe. Elle enlève son imperméable. Aussitôt, la flaque de boue jaillit de derrière la niche de chien. Elle court sur la pelouse et se jette en plein sur la tête de Juliane. La petite fille est couverte de boue de la tête aux pieds. Juliane court vite à la maison en criant « Maman, maman, une flaque de boue s'est jetée sur moi !» Sa maman l'attrape, la déshabille et l'installe dans la baignoire. Elle frotte Juliane jusqu'à ce qu'elle soit toute rouge. Elle lui lave les oreilles, elle lui lave les yeux, elle lui lave la bouche, elle lui lave le nez, elle lui lave même le nombril. Juliane enfile une nouvelle chemise et la boutonne. Elle enfile un pantalon nu et le boutonne. Puis elle s'assit à côté de la porte. Elle a bien très peur de sortir. C'est alors que lui vient une idée. Elle tient le bras et s'assit un gros savon jaune. Yuck! Il ne sent pas vraiment bon. Elle attrape un autre gros savon jaune qui ne sent pas très bon non plus. Elle met les deux savons dans ses poches. Elle court vite au beau milieu de la cour et crie « Hey, flaque de boue !» La flaque de boue bondit par-dessous la clôture et file droit sur Juliane. Juliane lance un savon en plein milieu de la flaque qui s'arrête aussitôt. Juliane lance l'autre savon en plein sur la flaque qui dit « Aïe! Oh! Burp! » La flaque se sauve en vitesse, traverse la cour, saute la clôture et ne revient plus jamais.
Well, boys and girls, I hope you enjoyed today's story. I hope you enjoyed being with us. And until next time, bye-bye.